what are some of the biggest myths when it comes to mental health? So, like, what are some of the beliefs that we take on around mental health in society? And A, how they're wrong, and B, what's the correct solution for that?
Well, I'd say one of the biggest, most common myths is diving around in the specifics of people's thinking. Why it's a myth is that, we can keep diving down the rabbit hole, but at times thinking is like a cloud in the sky coming through. So one of the biggest myths is people identifying with the clouds that come through and really making meaning of it, not understanding that our brains are constantly making narratives of life that have no evidence, accuracy, or relevancy. So a myth is that we look to dive into that thinking. It doesn't mean we never look there, but rather than looking upstream, the solution can be, yeah, cool. So I honor you. It must be challenging that you feel like you're not good enough, or you feel that, you're unworthy. I appreciate that. Sucks. I've had that thought. I've seen my world that way. And with that, I'd still love to let's look at what you're eating. Let's look at how you've slept. Let's look at how you're breathing, because that's what's upstream a lot of the time that can come downstream with the thinking that you're experiencing that looks like it's the thing. I love one of the metaphors that I heard the other day. It's like when you're sitting on a train, there's an effect if there's a train next to you, and like when they're very close, like on the train line. And when the train next to you starts moving, how our brains interpret it is that our train you're on has moved. But that's an illusion. Like your train is completely still. The train next door is moving. Now, why I share that is the brain is doing that all the time. It's like, it's coming from out here. The biggest myth, and one of my biggest passions, is the outside in misunderstanding. That I'm living in the feeling of my circumstances of the outside world. One of my favorite sayings is we're always living in the feeling of our thinking, not the feeling of our circumstances. And further to that, we're always living in the feeling of our biochemistry, our thinking and our understanding, not the feeling of the circumstances outside. This is the final thing I'll say on that. Why can I say that? One day someone cuts you off in traffic and you get angry. Oh, it's not fair. Next day they cut you off in traffic. You're compassionate. You're like, oh, I wonder what's going on in their world. The next day you get cut off in traffic, neutral. If it was outside in, would we not respond the same time every time? We don't. That's the myth, that I've got to control this out there to change how I feel. The outside in illusion.